Hey folks, and welcome back. Welcome to our new unit. This is unit number 7, which is all about forces. Just like with our last unit on motion, we're going to be using a video clip to help kind of set us up and to give us a kind of common experience to be able to talk about forces with. So if you all would, please go ahead and pause this video. I'm not going to show it video in video because that's going to be weird. Pause this video and then go back to the assignment link. Open up the slides. The link is at the kind of towards the bottom of the assignment, and then you'll be able to find the link to the video there. So go ahead and pause this video, go over and watch that video, and then come back here once you've done that, and we'll get going with the notes. Okay, so hopefully you've watched the video. That was obviously the chase scene from Black Panther, and there's a lot of examples of forces in that scene. So let's hop in and let's talk about what forces are. And basically what we need to do is we're going to start off by making a connection between our last motion, our last unit, which was motion, and this unit, which is forces, right? So what actually causes objects to move? Well, objects don't want to move on their own. We're going to talk more about that in our next set of notes, right? But objects are not going to just start moving just because, right? They need something that is going to force them to move, okay? And so that's what forces are. Forces are things that cause motion, all right? So in both of these examples, right, we've got the kid standing on the diving board, the other kid comes up behind and pushes, right? That's a force. Or we've got the two college players playing soccer, right? The one girl pulls the other one down, right? That is a force. So what is a force? What's a formal definition? A force is a push or pull on an object. Okay, so forces are pushes or pulls on an object. And forces can cause motion. Now, when we talk about causing motion, what we're really talking about is we're causing acceleration. Okay, we're causing changes in the motion. All right, and again, we're going to get into more about that in our next video, right? Our next set of notes. But for now, right, forces are pushes or pulls on objects that cause changes in their motion. At least they can. They don't necessarily always do, right, for obvious reasons. Like if I try to push on a wall, the wall's not going to move, okay? But it could, right? If I was strong enough, I could cause the wall to move. All right, so here we've got a couple of examples of people using the force in order to force things to move. We've got a mashup GIF where Obi-Wan Kenobi is force pushing the cat over, and then we've got Darth Vader force pulling Han Solo's blaster to him, right? So those would be some examples of forces, and in both cases, those are causing changes to the object's motion. It's causing the motion of the object to change. So what are some different forces? All right, there are 4 kind of main types of forces that we're going to be talking about in this unit. The first are the one that you are probably the most familiar with. These are what we call applied forces. Applied forces occur whenever one object physically touches another one and pushes or pulls it, right? So for example, right, if I have my cell phone, right, and I lift it up, I'm pulling my cell phone up. Okay, this would be an applied force. I'm pulling it up. All right. Or for example, right, if you are pushing against something, right, that is an applied force. If I push against the desk and push myself away from it, that is an applied force. Or when I pull myself back, right, that's an applied force. Gravitational force, this is another one that you're probably very familiar with. We're going to do a whole set of notes on that later in the unit. A gravitational force is an attractive force between any 2 objects with mass. So the one that we're obviously the most familiar with is the gravitational force between the Earth and us, right? If we are above the Earth, right, if I hold my mask up above the Earth and I drop it, we know what's going to happen, right? It's going to fall. Why is it falling? The Earth is pulling on my mask. Now, what you may not realize is that my mask is also pulling on the Earth. What's the difference? My mask is so small that it doesn't really pull the Earth very much. And it doesn't cause the Earth to change because the Earth is so big. Okay? And we're going to talk more about that again later because we've got a whole set of notes on gravitational force. Then we've got magnetic force. Let me go get a magnet real quick. Okay, so these are some very powerful magnets. They're really quite difficult to get apart. I have to pull really hard because they have a lot of force between them. Let me see if I can get this off. There we go. Okay, so here we go. So I got these two magnets, right? And if I hold them, there you go, now you can see them. If I hold them, right, there's an attractive force, and eventually they want to pull together, right? Now this force doesn't have to be touching in order for it to occur. Same as with the force of gravity, right? You don't have to be touching the earth for it to pull you down, right? You could be above the earth and it pulls you down. So again, you can see them pulling together. This force will occur over distances. Again, it's really strong. So let me show you that. I've got a book, right? If I hold one magnet on one side and I put the other one on the other, right? You see that? See how it's holding it? All right. So the magnets, right? That force is existing between, and I can actually move one around and notice how it moves the other one with it, right? That is the magnetic force. That's a pull force. It's always attracting, or it can be repelling as well. It can repel. Magnets can definitely repel too if you get the opposite sides. The last one is friction. Now this is one that you are familiar with, but it's not necessarily something that you think about all the time. Friction is what allows me to hold up my coffee mug. It's a force that always occurs whenever two objects touch and always resists motion. So I'm holding my coffee right here, right? Gravity wants to pull this down, okay? But I'm able to grab the coffee mug. Why is that? Because there's friction, right? Because the friction between my skin and the coffee mug, right, is resisting the pull of gravity down. It's holding on to this. Same thing occurs whenever you push something across like the floor, right? If you try to push like a sofa or a chair across the floor, that's really difficult because there's a lot of friction there, okay? Now we can reduce friction. We can make things move easier, right? That's why we have things like wheels, right? Wheels. If you get on ice, right? Ice is a surface that doesn't have a lot of friction. You can reduce friction. There's always friction between two things when you put them together, right? When you put your hands together and you rub them together, there's friction there, right? That is opposing that motion, and that's what causes your hands to heat up. And again, we're going to talk more about friction later on. Okay, so here's what you need to do now for your to finish up this assignment. First of all, you want to write a summary of the notes. What did we just talk about? Introing forces, and then for the practice, you're going to go and you're going to rewatch that video that you watched at the beginning of the notes, and you're going to identify one applied force, one gravitational force, and one frictional force. You know, what is just an example of that occurring in the video? So make sure that you go in and do that, and then click submit in Kami, and I will see you all next time.